To the Philadelphia Fair Housing Commission. My name is Allie DeMedeiros. I am the attorney for the Fair Housing Commissioners. Before the hearing, I'm required to read the following statement to you. First, you're being recorded. We record all our hearings. By remaining on the line and participating in the hearing, you are consenting to be recorded. Our Zoom hearings have the same force and effect as if we were in person. The only difference is on Zoom, we do not have a court reporter. In the event either party wants to appeal a final order of this commission, you can reach out to me or the case manager and we'll provide you with a copy of the video recording. Please be mindful of what you're saying and doing because it is being recorded. Second, at 11 o'clock this morning, the commissioners and myself, the attorney, met in a private executive session to discuss the day's cases. We do that on every hearing day with every case. Third, the parties had the opportunity to submit documents. I have the submitted documents saved on my computer and can share them with everyone on the screen. Please keep in mind the commission generally only reviews the very basic documents in a case prior to a hearing. If you would like a document reviewed by the commission, please reference it by a name, date, or description so that I can post it on the screen for everyone to look at the same time. Lastly, during today's hearing, it might be necessary for the commissioners to speak privately to make decisions in this matter. If they need to do that, they'll invite you to join separate rooms divided by party called breakout rooms. A prompt will come on your screen at the appropriate moment asking you if you would like to join a breakout room. We will direct you to click join when you see that prompt. Once in the breakout room, please remain in the room. We will never end a hearing when you are in a separate room. Please make sure you're back in this main room and that a commissioner or staff member dismisses you before you log off or hang up. Thank you very much for listening. With that, I'm going to hand the case over to Ms. Algeen.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Fair Housing Commission. This is the matter of Ruth Hawthorne versus Tania Westmoreland and Satia Gardner. The Fair Housing Docket number is 2024-1209-19395, and this is the third Fair Housing hearing. At this time, beginning with the tenant, can you please state and spell your first and last name, and please speak slowly and clearly for the record? Ms. Hawthorne?
If you're speaking, Ms. Hawthorne, you're on mute.
Ruth Hawthorne, RUTH, HAWTHORNE.
Thank you. Property owner, can you please state and spell your first and last name, and please speak slowly and clearly for the record?
Tanae Westmoreland, TANEAWESTMORELAND.
Okay, thank you. Property manager, can you please state and spell your first and last name, and please speak slowly and clearly for the record? Ms. Gardner?
I was having a problem unmuting. Satia Gardner, SATIA, Gardner, GARDNER.
Thank you. And counsel, can you please put your name on the record and state who you're representing?
Hi. Good morning. This is Attorney Donald Bermudez. First name DONALD, last name BERMUDEZ. I'm representing Miss Satia Gardner, the property manager.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to swear the parties in. If everyone can raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Ms. Westmoreland?
I do.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Yeah.
And Ms. Gardner? You're muted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The commission has 3 rules for today's hearing. First, do not speak over or interrupt each other. Do not speak over or interrupt the commissioners. Each party will have an opportunity to give testimony and present evidence. Second, please do not use generic phrases such as he said and she said. Please use tenant stated or landlord stated or Ms. Hawthorne stated. This will keep the record clear. And third, when referring to a date, please give the complete date, including the year. For example, please state the date as July 4th, 2024. Do not just say in July or just last year or in 2024. The commissioners present today are Commissioner Baez and Commissioner Sang. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for appearing before the Fair Housing Commission. Before we get started, I want to note that in order to establish quorum, we need commissioners to hear the matter. And as you can tell, there are only 2 of us here today. So what will happen is that at the end of this hearing, we are going to hold this matter under advisement, and then another commissioner is going to watch the recording. And then the 3 commissioners will come to a consensus, and then you'll be issued a written order. So you will not be getting an oral order today at the end of the hearing. So because it is the tenant that filed the matter, we start with the tenant. I'm going to ask some questions to establish jurisdiction, and then we'll go from there. So first, these are questions for the tenants. Can you please give us the address for which we are here today? Ms. Hawthorne, you're on mute.
7016 Woodland Avenue, apartment 1.
And is that in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania?
It is.
Okay, and are you still residing there currently?
I am with my
Okay.
spouse and my daughter.
Okay, thank you. And have you received certificate of rental suitability at any point?
I have not.
And have you received any sort of lead certificate at any point?
No, I have not.
Okay. And can you tell us why you're here today?
I'm thankful that it's summertime now, but I went without heat the entire winter. I've had to use my stove the entire winter. At one point, well, at the end of winter, we've used the stove so much times that the electric went out, and we had to resort to the electric went out in the kitchen. We had to resort to using space heaters to keep our house warm. The I didn't know Satia wasn't the landlord. She presented herself as the landlord, and she stated that she didn't care, and she made fun that we didn't have heat in our unit. We are living with rodents, even though we do not keep food in our cabinets. The neighbors upstairs broke the front window to our unit. We went without a window until last week. Surprisingly, right before this hearing, the maintenance man came and put a new window in. Our electric is accessed inside the hallway where the upstairs tenants can turn off our electricity at any time because it's all connected on the one circuit breaker. Once again, the electric went out in our kitchen, so we are unable to use the stove, the microwave. The only thing that is working, I guess, is because it's on another circuit, is the refrigerator. Um, there is a lot of open areas. There's no heat. There's no heat, there's no air. There's so much. I wish my spouse was able to come on and he'll be able to tell you more. But the upstairs neighbors, it's been a total nightmare.
Okay.
It's been a total nightmare.
And when did you move in?
September of last year,
Of 2023 or
correct?
2024?
Last year.
Okay, of 2024. I just want to double check the dates. And is this an annual lease or a month-to-month lease?
It's annual lease.
Okay. And who did you sign the lease with?
Satia Gardner.
Okay. And when you first moved in, how much was rent?
I'm gonna be honest with you, ma'am. I can't even remember because originally we moved into an Airbnb that was next door, which was 7018. We lived in that unit, and then she agreed to move us into the unit next door, which is 7016. When we moved into that unit, there was no electricity in there. She claimed that no tenants were there, but there was still furniture from the previous tenant located in the unit. We had an agreement to pay her weekly. We fell behind, I think like 2 or 3 weeks, and that's when all the problems ensued.
Okay. And so we have the lease up. It says that the monthly rent is $1,600. Does that sound right to you?
That sounds right, yes.
Okay. And when's the last time you paid rent?
I can't even remember.
Okay.
I wanted this when the problems first ensued. It's about a couple of months ago.
Okay. So do you think that the last time you paid rent was in 2024 or in 2025?
2024.
Okay. And did you pay any deposits when you first moved in for like security?
Everything was included. She kind of like combined it. Like, okay, I think it was like November, we would end paying the deposit, and then we'll start paying regular rent at the end of November, I believe.
Okay. Ally, do you mind pulling up the lease again? Thank you. Okay, Ms. Hawthorne. So under section 5 where it says rent, and
Can you
then
show me where I'm supposed to be looking at? Okay, there we go.
Okay, and then you see that number 8, security deposit,
Yes,
1,600.
ma'am.
Okay, is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay. So at this point, does Commissioner Bias have any questions? Okay.
No, no questions.
Mr. Bermudez, do you have any questions for the tenant?
Can I add one more thing, please? I
Yeah.
also want to notate that I called LNI and they came out, the investigators came out, and there is multiple LNI violations on record.
Okay. And can you tell me about the text messages asking you to leave?
Um, it was more gossip than anything. Her and the tenant upstairs, they started berating me and saying a lot of crazy things about me. It was like more like high school, he said, she said stuff that wasn't really legal or whatever like that. But she her and
I
the tenant,
object to this. I haven't, well, if there's just clarity, I mean, this is hearsay statements.
it's in
I don't
text
hear any
messages, so I don't
exception
know
that would
why you're
apply.
Hold
objecting.
on,
I
Ms.
don't know why
Hawthorne.
you're
Hold on, hold
objecting.
on.
It's in
Ms.
text
Hawthorne,
messaging.
Ms. Hawthorne,
It's in writing.
Ms. Hawthorne. That could still be considered hearsay. So, Mr. Bermudez, she hasn't even said what the statements were,
Thank
so
you.
I can't even rule on the objection right now. I think we would need more clarification into because I based on the tenant's answer, I don't have a sense of what it is. But I do know that let me just go back to the
If you can, I submitted all the text messaging to the courts. What she
so
basically told me to get out, and if she was going to get me out, she's going to put me out. She did not care about the rodent situation. She did not care about the broken window. She did not care about us having not having no heat in the house. That she wanted us out,
okay.
and I told her that's not how things go, and that she would have to take us to landlord tenant court, and that she would have to do it the right way if she wanted us out, and that's not how things go.
Okay, Mr. Bermudez, do you have follow-up questions?
So, have you been looking for another place to live?
That's none of your business.
Ms. Hawthorne, do you mind answering the question,
Well,
please?
I refuse to answer the question. I'm not answering any of his questions. I'll answer your
Mr.
question.
Bermudez, can you just offer why you're asking that question?
Well, I mean, credibility. I mean, I don't want to fully. I mean, it's so obviously relevant, and so I don't want to explain the reasoning for the questioning because
But
I have
to
a
answer your
very
question, yes,
adversarial
I
witness
have.
here.
To answer your question, yes, I have looked for another place, and we actually moved half of our belongings into the place after the last hearing.
Are you
To answer
still
your
in
Okay, so you
question,
found
Ms.
a new
Hawthorne,
place to live.
are you still currently residing in the
yes,
premise? Okay.
my spouse is.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we can move on.
You can move on,
What was
attorney
your
Ms.
is your
Hawthorne,
spouse?
I'm asking you
of
to
a
please
slumlord,
maintain
Ms.
civility.
Hawthorne, we're going to end this hearing if you continue with that behavior.
Hi, you guys didn't have to deal with what I had to deal with for the last
Ms.
almost
Hawthorne, are
year.
you listening to the commissioners right now?
Yes, I am.
You are not.
Well, I'll put myself on mute, or you could do so.
All right, Mr. Bermudez. Go ahead.
I don't have many questions. My apologies. Is your spouse an authorized tenant on the lease?
He is. His name is Thomas Loach. He is.
Okay.
Thomas Lamar Loach. Yes, he is.
And so when did you start to look for a new place to live?
I already answered that question. Next question.
That wasn't the same question
I asked the question. I said
before
after
to
the
brief
last
you.
hearing,
Mr.
we looked for
Bermudez,
another place
I,
and started moving our
Okay.
belongings.
Ms. Hawthorne, please, Ms. Hawthorne, please stop. Mr. Bermudez, there are two things. I already heard the answer, so it is asked and answered. And second, I don't think that it's relevant, so we need to move on.
It really wasn't asked and answered. I said when she began. So I just get. So was that when you After the last hearing was when you began looking for a new place.
Again, it's irrelevant, so we're gonna move on.
Thank you.
It's absolutely relevant. That's
Attorney
Okay.
Bermudez, the commissioner already stated that you need to move on to a different question. It's not up
okay.
for
Well,
discussion
since
at
the
this time,
rules
so
of
please
evidence,
move on.
since
Please move on.
I know, because since the rules of evidence are just going to be ignored, and I think really this is an insincere hearing where it doesn't matter what's happening and the tenant is acting so inappropriate and just should answer these questions.
Counselor Bermudez, you are
You know,
also
this all
acting
should
inappropriately.
speak for itself.
Mr.
Absolutely
Bermudez,
not.
you are
Absolutely
also
not.
acting
That's why.
inappropriately. Are you listening to me, Mr.
No,
Bermudez?
I'm not. Not at all.
You clearly are
Not at
not.
all. This is a joke of a hearing if you're trying to say that's irrelevant.
Mr.
No further
Bermudez,
questions,
just
since
because
you
you
are-
don't like the
this is
ruling
fixed
on
for
your
the tenant.
on your objection,
No.
we can move on.
You are the only. Your ruling is the definition of abuse of discretion and wild to say that I asked two questions.
So, sir, you have the right to appeal.
Okay, no further questions. No further questions. No.
Okay.
We will. Okay. To be
Sounds
clear, you're
good.
saying it's not. Well, then let me. May I make a record? I will ask. Okay, so
Made a record. You said it's an
those
abuse of
questions.
discretion and that we're ridiculous.
Those
for
questions
not
go to.
listening.
Those questions are irrelevant. That's why I'm not being allowed to ask them, right?
Mr. Bermudez, I asked you for an offer of proof for the question. You refused, and now you are just
No,
not moving forward, and
Thank God.
this is not helpful for
So thank-
anybody.
Okay, so good thing this is hearing. I didn't refuse. I said it goes to credibility. These all go to credibility. A woman is saying she doesn't. I didn't refuse because I don't want to give the whole what the argument is to the witness. But since I'm being put in that position unreasonably, I will. So this is a woman that's saying I had no heat the whole winter. It's super bad. All these things, but yet she did nothing to try to move until after the last.
I didn't have no
hearing.
money, sir.
That's
So-
Do you have
irrelevant.
money?
Any
I
other-
had to save it
any
for the
other
rent.
forum-
Were you gonna pay?
Okay, so I've muted Ms.
Okay.
Hawthorne because it's,
If
go
it's
ahead.
irrelevant, I'll move on.
Are you asking, do you have additional cross-examination questions or are you done with that?
I do have additional cross-examination questions.
Okay, so I'm gonna unmute Ms. Hawthorne. Go ahead and ask your cross-examination questions.
Okay, when did you begin to have heating problems?
Ms. Hawthorne, if you could unmute yourself and please answer his question.
I never had heat in that house. There is no heat connected to that house.
Since September of 2024 when you moved in, ma'am?
There is no heat. There is no HVAC system and it's not connected to the house. There is no heat in that unit.
Okay,
So do you remember when you first discovered that in the house?
Yes, I did. I reached out to Satia and told her immediately.
No, but I'm saying, so what did you do to try to turn it on?
When use the thermostat in the house, I didn't know that it was not connected. I didn't know that I was paying for electricity for half the building. Yeah, I'm paying I'm paying electricity for half the building.
What type of heating system do you have in your
I don't know.
apartment
Maybe
or
you need to
rental
ask your
space?
client. Ask your client.
So you don't
There's
know.
no heat in the
Okay.
building.
Have you had a
Ms. Hawthorne, you
Have
gotta
you had
just answer the question and try not to be argumentative. It's not helping your case and we're gonna have to stop the hearing if you keep being argumentative. Go ahead, Mr. Bermudez.
I asked to strike all of her testimony for failing to
Whatever.
answer
No,
any questions.
that's not how it's gonna work. Mr. Bermudez, please ask the question.
Well,
Ms.
I'm
Hawthorne, please
making that
answer it.
motion. I'm making
Okay,
I'm
motion
making that
denied.
motion.
Motion denied.
Okay, thank you. So have you ever had a professional come out to look at the heating system?
No,
or
I
to
don't
see if
have
you were
money to do
operating
so.
correctly?
And no, I don't have money to do so. That's not my responsibility. I'm not the owner of the building. And I'm not the landlord. So no, I did not have a professional to do that. I don't have money just sitting around in this economy to get somebody professional to come check out the heat.
Did you ever ask Satia or anybody to try to make sure that you knew how to operate the heating system, correct?
It's a standard I'm a general contractor, and it's a standard thermostat in the house that is connected to nothing.
Well, could you explain that a little bit for those that aren't contractors? So
I just
how
told
does
you.
this
I
system
literally just
supposed to work?
explained it. It's a standard thermostat setting, Honeywell setting of thermostat that is electric, that you could press up and down for heat to go on and off. It's in every unit, every apartment that has central air and heat. This thermostat is connected to nothing. There was no heat in the building.
is
We
it-
had to use the stove.
So what is it supposed to be connected to?
I don't know. You would have to ask your client.
Well, you said you have knowledge about these systems and they're in every house.
It's supposed to be connected to an
Again, I
HVAC
don't see
unit.
how this is relevant.
It's supposed to be connected to an
That's
HVAC
fine.
unit.
It's
Okay.
either it works or it doesn't.
it.
We don't need to opine on why it's not working.
Well, we obviously have somebody that's just saying whatever benefits them, and I'll have my client testify to the fact that it does work. And since this is the Fair
Oh,
Housing
my
Commission,
goodness.
I'm sure your
That's
answer's already
fine.
prepared.
That's
but okay.
fine. But I don't think your cross-examination with Ms. Hawthorne on this is particularly helpful. I do think that it's just wasting time. So if you want to start questioning Ms. Gardner, that's fine as well.
So may I ask, is credibility not a purpose for cross-examination?
I think the way you're going about questioning credibility is lost on us. So I think you need to figure out a different way to do it.
I think that says more about the commission than it does anything else.
You're welcome
no
to
more
feel
further
if you
questions.
disagree, but we're not going to argue over it right now. We've already made our decision. So can you please move on?
I know, you've already, thank you for admitting that you've already made your decision about the case.
No,
All
my
right, no
decision
further
on your
questions.
objection,
You know
sir,
that's not what
not
you
the
said.
decision of the case. Obviously, we have not heard all the witnesses. Can you please move on?
Because this is a sham of a hearing. No further questions. I said it 3 times.
Are you going to ask questions of your client?
I need a brief indulgence, please. Yes, Ms. Gardner, would you like to testify?
Yes, I'm here.
So, can you please give your side what you just heard? You heard Ms. Hawthorne, right?
Yes. So,
Okay.
a
Please
part of,
explain your side and what's
yes,
not true or
absolutely.
what's true. So start
Absolutely.
with what's true. What do you agree with as far as what Ms. Hawthorne said?
I agree that her heat maybe don't work. And that's due to the fact that her heat is gas, and we was paying the gas bill. If you look at the lease says rent plus all utilities. At some point we did turn the gas off because the gas was still in the name of the property owner. So as per the lease and her paying all utilities, it was instructed for her to put the light and also the gas bill in her name. So I'm not sure if she put the gas bill in her name, but we shut the gas off on our end after maybe 2 months, 3 months maybe. So as far as heat, if it's not working, that would probably be the reason why it doesn't work, because she probably doesn't have any gas on, and it's a gas system.
Wait, so could you please explain that again? Why is the gas off?
The heat won't work if she does not have a gas bill. Like, she has to call and get gas put into her name. As per the lease, all utilities she was to pay, which was electric and the gas. So the gas was her responsibility to pay. So if she does not have a gas bill, if she did not pay her gas bill, she would not have any heat because the heat is ran off of gas.
Okay, so I have some follow-up questions. So first, do you have a rental license for this property?
No, we don't.
And did you ever provide the tenant with a certificate of rental suitability?
No, I didn't.
And did you ever provide a lead certificate to the tenant?
No, we didn't.
Okay. And do you and Ms. Westmoreland have an established agency relationship where you serve as her agent to manage this property?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. Do you have an agreement with Ms. Westmoreland that you are going to serve as her agent in managing this property?
Yes.
Service manager.
So I'm gonna put the agreement on
You said-
the screen. For the record, Miss Westmoreland logged out of this meeting about 10 minutes ago, and we don't
As
have.
my direct cross, excuse me, I'm sorry, you kind of just took over my direct examination, which I'm okay
It
with.
looks like you muted yourself,
didn't-
Mr. Bermudez. I could not hear you.
That
So I thought you were
that
complete.
doesn't.
I thought you were done.
Okay. Well, I'll do. Yes, I'm
But if you'd like
I
to
think
continue,
that
that'd
is
be fine.
super instance. So here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm going to take the higher ground, but as I already said, ask your questions, because what's important to you is subjective and not
So-
founded in law. So I'll let you do it. So I'll go ahead. You can do you kind of just literally took it over from me in the middle of it. So, but I will defer.
So
Mr. Bermudez, you
first
did mute yourself. Again, you muted yourself again. So I thought your your examination was completed. But if you'd like to take over the questioning,
May the
sir,
record reflect
obviously
that.
do that.
May the record reflect that you're chuckling and you think this is funny for some reason.
No, I
This is
don't
a
think
very
it's funny. I think
unprofessional, the way this commission is just continuing to show itself as a joke.
okay,
Mr.
so
Bermudez, this is
I was just
entirely
gonna put- I
unprofessional.
have to make a record for appeal, and that's in everyone's interest. So I was just stating that Miss Westmoreland had logged off about 10 minutes ago, and I was putting the agency record on the screen. I was interrupted by Mr. Bermudez, who's indicated that I'm not sure. Mr. Bermudez, did you have something substantive to add at that point? Okay, so I'm hearing
The record will reflect that. The record so you asked me to say something and then immediately interrupt me. The record will reflect, unless somehow the audio just disappears, that you just decided to start asking questions in the middle of my direct cross-examination. I then got back, said you could do that, and now you're trying to literally make it. If you want to, if the audio is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank God. So say whatever you want. The audio will obviously be the truth.
Okay, so I believe Commissioner Sing's question, Ms. Gardner, is this agreement the agency agreement you referenced? This was sent by you, so
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
okay.
So, Mr. Bermudez, do you have any follow-up questions to my questions?
Miss Gardner, you had from before September of 2024, you had permission to manage and rent this property to a tenant, right?
Correct.
And you provided that document to the commission.
Correct.
What efforts have you made to, or strike that? What problems do you remember Ms. Hawthorne complaining about at the rental property?
Well, the problems she complained about was the electric, and it was the rodents. I did not hear about anything about heat until I don't know, until everything started getting like crazy with the tenant upstairs and they were like arguing and going back and forth. So um that's when honestly all the problems kind of started surfacing. Like she started, complaining about things. But I also have text messages where, her husband and, even her, is stating that they love the apartment. And, so, I don't, I have that in text message. Herself, Ruth and her husband, said that they love the apartment. And this was probably in like maybe October, until I address Ruth about a noise complaint from the tenant upstairs. And then from there, everything just went absolutely crazy. And she was just hard to deal with from that point. It was like crazy. Like I would try to send people, she would say she's not there and she would really be there. And as far as the electric, it was a situation where I had someone doing electric upstairs. So I'm like, he's gonna stop by your apartment. She's like, I'm not there. No one's there until this time. I said, okay, fine. He'll be in the building for a while. So, when you get there, let me know. So because he was doing electric, he, shut off, all of the electric in the building so he can work, on what he needed to do. And then all of a sudden, she's like, someone shut my electric off and there's no electric. And I'm like, I thought no one was in the house, like so that we could address these issues. Also the same thing with the exterminator. I tried to send the exterminator out, they said that they wasn't ready, or, they needed notice. But at that point, I wasn't trying to have any contact with Ruth because she was just belligerent. I mean, it was just really bad. There was no trying to work it out with her. Like I literally have voice recordings. Like, I mean, it just got really, 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 really ridiculous. And that's just kind of how this played out. She has not paid anything since she moved in September. I believe her and her husband paid for 4 weeks, and that was it. 5 weeks, and that was it. That was all that they paid. They never paid a full month security. They never paid any full rent. I actually did them a favor and put their first month rent and security on a payment plan, because I felt bad for them because they did rent my Airbnb. So they were consistent with renting my Airbnb for a couple of weeks in another building. So she said something about her previous landlord, and they needed a place, and her previous landlord was a slumlord, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I have this unit, opening up or whatever. And I allowed them to move in there, the kindness of my heart, on a payment plan. And that was foolish of me, because then now we're here. So that's pretty much the gist of everything in a nutshell. Yeah.
So, when is the last time she paid rent, Miss Hawthorne?
She moved in September, maybe October, sometime in October. They maybe paid, because like I said, they were on a payment plan and they had to pay per week. I can actually, give me 1 second. I can actually look it up in a text that I actually have here.
What?
So apparently they started having trouble paying, and her husband sent me a text. He sent me a text October 14th at 12:40 p.m. He said, "Good afternoon. This is your tenant Thomas from 7016. I am asking for an extension to paying off the rent. I don't have the 600 this week. We can continue to pay 600 next week. The payment agreement I'm asking for would go as follows." And then from there, he sent me everything from 10/21 to 10/27 that week, all the way up until 12/23 to 12/29. Being caught up with the first month, and the security deposit, and that previous month. After that, he said, "We are good tenants and we love the place. I'm asking you to please think about the agreement. I had a bit of a money situation. We both still are employed. That's not an issue." And that was October 14th. They have not paid. I can also look at that. They have not
So,
paid since.
Tia, let me ask you,
Okay.
did they complain about the apartment prior to these payment problems?
No. As I read in the text, he said he loved the apartment. They loved it. I also have text from her when she was going back and forth with the tenant upstairs. I also have text from her saying, "I love the unit. I'm a really good tenant," and just stuff like that. So there was no issues really up until they had problems with payment. And I was reaching out to them, and like I couldn't get anyone, and I was asking them like, "Is everything okay? Are you guys all right?" I was just trying to find out what was going on. And then I don't know, then it was just everything just went just downhill from after they couldn't pay, and I addressed the noise
Okay.
complaint.
So,
Yes.
so what, if anything, have you tried to do to check out the heating while Miss Hawthorne's been there?
Well, as far as the heating, I didn't do anything because she didn't have a gas bill, so that's why the heat's not working. I told her that the heat was on gas and the stove is on gas, so you have to have a gas bill to pay, to get heat for the HVAC system. That's just, how it works. It's a gas HVAC system. It's not an electric one. So there wasn't really anything to, really address outside of that as far as the electric, and as far as the exterminator. I've tried to address that, and it was always something I gave. I even went as far as giving the exterminator her phone number so they can contact each other, because things really had got out of hand to the point where Ruth actually contacted my mother. I don't know, she found my mother's number and she called my mother and started telling my mother I was a slumlord. And so at that point, I just didn't want to have any contact. So I had, everyone contact her. I have text messages to the exterminators, giving her number, making the appointments. So as far as I'm concerned, I went all the way out my way to help these guys out. And, it just really backfired. And now we're just here.
Commission's indulgence, 1 second. Did she ever ask you for a different unit, or to move her to a different house at any point?
No, but at some point she did ask me, did I have other units for someone that she worked with? She asked if I had any other apartment.
Okay.
But she never asked.
So she referred to somebody else to you? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
No further questions.
Okay, I just have a question for Ms. Westmoreland. Ms. Westmoreland, are you able to answer questions?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great, thank you. I just want to confirm that what Ms. Gardner testified as to you agreeing that she would be your manager for this rental property, that's accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Does anybody? Yes, I can. I believe your answer was yes. Mr. Bermudez, do you have any follow-up questions?
No follow-up.
Okay. Does Commissioner Bias have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to allow brief closing statements by the tenants and then the landlord. So Ms. Hawthorne, do you have last statements that you would like to make?
Yes, I do. I do want to just address just a couple of things that was stated. First and foremost, the day that I moved in, and I found out that there was rodents in there, I made complaints about the rodents immediately. She is correct that there was no issues between me and her until me and the tenant the tenant upstairs had an issue. But as far as me addressing the issues going on with the unit, it happened way before then. I submitted all those text messages to the courts showing that I asked about the rodents. We didn't put any food into the cabinets, and I addressed it. Anytime there was an issue, there was an address. Regarding her trying to send people to the house, once again, I submitted that to the courts. Text messages from Ms. Gardner, who told me she didn't have to give me notice. I work 5 days a week at the airport, and I told her multiple times in the messages as was submitted to the court that we need notice before she does that. She said she reiterated to me that she lives in a building and that maintenance does not give her notice, that they just come and fix things, and she didn't have to give me notice, which is not the law in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. She does have to give me notice when she's coming to the unit. I don't want being that things have severed between us. I did not I did not want people into the unit while I was not there. So I asked her for notice, and I had to ask her for the exterminator's number. She did not offer it to me. She told me that she didn't have to give it to me. Also, the only reason I reached out to her mom is I reached out to her mom right before I reached out to the Fair Housing Commission, was because I was distraught. We were literally in there without no heat. I had no clue that I had gas in the house, and that I needed to get a gas bill. We never had a conversation via voice or text messaging about gas and the unit gas. She told me we had a brand new HVAC system on the side of the building, which is not connected to the unit. Also, I wanted to be on record that I've been paying for the electricity for her security camera for the building and for the basement. I've been paying electricity for half of the building's electricity. And me and her severed ties because I asked her multiple times, who is going to pay this electric bill? I only want to be responsible for my unit's electricity. I asked her multiple times. Yes, I did indeed stop paying rent once I realized that she told me she did not care about taking care of anything inside my unit. I submitted those messages once again to the courthouse and to the Fair Housing Commission. I've submitted all those records showing that I've been asking since literally 2 to 3 days after moving in the unit about the rodents. I've submitted videos of the rodents running through my house. It's an infestation. It's an infestation in the building. I don't know who. That's not my background, but I can't hear myself. I can't
Mr.
hear
Bermudez,
myself.
can you mute yourself? You're coming out with a lot of white noise.
Okay, I'm not waiving my right to make an argument, though. I don't want that to be
No,
interpreted
you'll
as
have
it
your
was
chance.
before.
And if you want to object, you still can, but I'm just asking you to go somewhere without a lot of white noise, because it is distracting and disrespectful to Ms. Hawthorne.
So I am objecting that this
I'm talking though. That is so rude.
essentially
Hawthorne, stop.
you are insanely rude, Miss Hawthorne. It's not even
Mr.
funny.
Bermudez,
And you're gonna
Not
come like it's the pot calling the kettle black.
we're simply
how-
asking
I'd like to make
you,
an objection.
Yep.
we're simply asking you to just be in a peaceful environment so that you're not distracting Ms. Hawthorne's statements. Okay, Ms. Hawthorne.
Okay, I agreed to that. I was making an objection. And
What's the
like
objection?
everything else I've said,
What's the
that
objection?
this is testimony.
Mr. Bermudez?
Yes, we're asking for
That this is
testimony. That's all.
testimony. I thought it was argument.
She's arguing and testifying. She's pro se. It's acceptable.
So you're
Yes,
allowing the
she's per se.
testimony. That doesn't make it. So you're saying because she's pro se, that she can introduce new evidence and testimony during her closing argument. Is that what the commission is finding?
You can also
We
ask
haven't-
follow-up questions.
we
We're
just
not
don't have
prohibiting you from
follow-up.
asking follow-up questions. We're just letting her speak. Go ahead, Ms. Hawthorne.
So is the evidence closed or not? Is this an
No,
actual
it's not.
proceeding or
We
is
never
this just?
said that it's closed. Mr. Bermudez, this is an
You said
administrative
closing.
hearing.
You said closing arguments.
Mr. Bermudez,
It's
this
an
is
administrative
Mr.
hearing. Thank God,
last
because it's a
statement.
joke.
Sir,
Mr. Bermudez,
this is an administrative hearing. It's not a court. We're not bound wholeheartedly by the traditional rules of evidence.
that is correct.
We do give allowances for additional testimony. If you want your client to give additional testimony, we're more than willing to listen to it. So we're gonna let Ms. Hawthorne conclude, and then you can put on additional testimony or close.
Okay, Ms. Hawthorne, you may proceed.
I muted you, Ms. Hawthorne, because you can't interrupt.
I
Go
know,
ahead.
I'm sorry. You have to understand, this is very frustrating for me. But anyway, I have submitted multiple messages showing before there was a dissolve in our communication between me and Ms. Gardner. I have submitted multiple messages showing that we had rodents, that there was issues and stuff like that. The heat, because of the time that this stuff started, I couldn't tell her about the heat. I did not know the heat didn't work until it was cold outside. Okay, so I reached out to her multiple times. Because if you read the messages, and if you guys can put the messages up, it will show that she was in cahoots with the neighbors upstairs, and she did not want to help me out. And she told me that she wasn't going to help me out. She told me that she was going to get me out, and by any means necessary. She even threatened me. Okay, so I just want that to be on record that I was threatened as well. All right. So I just said, I told her I wasn't giving her a dime until the things in there. And I said it multiple times, over 15 times, that I wasn't giving her a dime until the stuff in the house was fixed. My husband and I have money. We make money. He works for the Philadelphia Country Club. I work for American Airlines. Okay, we have money. We are not just purposely not trying to pay her. We told her, can she fix the stuff first? Why should we give her rent if we're living in these atrocious type of situations? Regarding the text message about me loving the unit, I was talking about the Airbnb unit next door, not the unit that I was in. We were happy to have a stable residence because she is correct. I told her that our previous landlord we were living in a crazy situation. So I was happy to be in that unit. It wasn't until I realized that we really didn't check. If you look at the messages that I submitted, we really didn't look at that unit next door. She didn't give us access to it or anything like that. We moved into it in a desperate situation. She took advantage of people that were desperate and needed somewhere to stay. That's what she did. Okay. She knew she wasn't supposed to rent that unit to us, but she didn't care because she wanted the money. And she stated it as such in multiple messages that all she cared about, can somebody please stop pressing buttons? This is so come on, I'm being put on mute. That's not fair to me. There's multiple.
Mr. Bermudez, please stop making so much noise. Okay, Ms. Hawthorne.
Thank you. In multiple messages, she has stated multiple times that she wasn't going to help us out and stuff like that, and she wanted her effing money. And this is what she said in multiple messages. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just telling her, please just fix the issues and you'll get your money. No, I no longer want to rent to you guys. Get out. This is multiple messages saying that. I wanted to. I was paying for electricity. Before I stop talking, I just want to reiterate. I was paying electricity for half of the building without notice. I didn't even know the electricity in the basement or the security camera that I was paying for that electricity until the neighbors told me. I had rodents, no heat.
We've heard that part. Okay.
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
I just wanted to make sure I reiterate that it was on there, and that I did tell her before the the rent was not, before the rent was even an issue with her, I did tell her, and it is written in messages that we had rodents. It was 3 days after we moved in about the rodents. I also wanted to notate that we don't have smoke detectors in our unit either. If there was a fire supposed to break out, there's no smoke detectors in there. So that's also
Okay.
in there.
Ms.
There's, like I
Hawthorne.
said, she has multiple L&I violations in that unit.
Ms. Hawthorne, I
I'm
have a
done.
follow-up question.
Yes,
Are
go ahead.
you paying any, are you paying for gas right now?
I did not know that I had to pay for gas. I am paying an electric bill. I did not know I had to pay for gas. Once again, I didn't know. I didn't know. This was news to me. It's my first time hearing it
Okay. Mr.
today.
Bermuda, do you have any
Can
follow-up?
I just, I would just like to say
So,
something.
Ms. Gardner, I'm gonna have to let you, because you have counsel, I'm gonna let your counsel guide you on this. Mr. Bermudez,
Mr.
do you have any
Bermudez,
follow-up questions? And
I
would
muted
you
you
like
just because
to?
of the background noise, but you can unmute. Okay.
Are we
Sir,
able to unmute
if you're,
Mr.
yeah,
Bermudez?
he is unable to. He's been unmuting the whole time, but, um, sir, if you're not able to unmute, we'll give you a call and make sure you can hear everything and participate. Okay. So Mr. Bermudez isn't unmuting, so I'm gonna ask Belinda to give him a call and make sure he can participate at least by phone that way, so we're sure we're hearing from him.
Yep.
Is it possible for me to say something too?
Sure.
I want to make sure he's participating before you speak, but yes. Okay, he logged off, so I'm assuming he's answering the phone. So we're pausing. And we can't take any statements without representation here.
That's right. And if he's having issues, he can also call in.
Yep. I have an iPhone here. Maybe it's him. Hi, somebody logged in his iPhone. The person who's here is iPhone.
That's my spouse.
Oh, okay. Well, we're over an hour into the hearing, so we
No,
don't.
we're not going to take any additional testimony at this point, but
All right, that's fine. But yeah,
counsel
that's my
back.
spouse.
Okay.
That's
He's been
fine.
here. He's been here since the beginning as
Oh, I
public.
see. He was the public member. Okay, that's
Yes.
fine. Okay. We're just waiting for counsel.
Yep. Okay, so Belinda said at this point he's not answering.
Ms. Gardner, do you want to mute yourself and call your counsel to see if
Oh
you're
wait, I got somebody.
Okay.
Yep. Hi, Mr. Bermudez, can you hear me? You're on mute if you can hear.
Yes, can you hear? Can you
Yeah.
hear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I unmuted several times, but I logged back in. Miss Gardner, what would you like to say?
It's fine.
Okay.
Are you
And
sure?
No, I just wanted to really address the gas issue. The fact that she's saying that she didn't know that gas, that means that she hasn't been cooking since she's been there, because the stove is also a gas stove. So it's no way she didn't know. She wasn't
Yes,
informed.
Yeah, I
she's
haven't cooked
obviously
in that
lying.
unit. You're right. I haven't. You're right.
Oh,
Miss
I haven't.
Hawthorne,
I
you need
didn't.
to
I
stop.
didn't know.
Miss Hawthorne, you need to
Hawthorne,
stop
it's not your
interrupting.
turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I muted her.
Okay. So I know that Ms. Westmoreland wanted to make a statement, so I'm going to let Ms. Westmoreland make a statement and then counsel can make his. So Ms. Westmoreland, what did you want to say?
I just want to say I never met or had any contact with Rue, but I know I was paying a gas bill and the usage was high. So it was being used. And I paid that gas bill because I continuously got notifications from PGW. And so it's just like, I mean, Miss Rue said she heated her house with the stove. So the gas was connected, the gas was on. It was being used. I have it in PGW,
Okay.
like I have the usage. And I have the bills that I paid,
Okay,
which,
thank you. Yeah,
when I spoke to PGW, they sent someone out, they turned it on. And PGW, I guess, have those voice recordings too, because they do the same thing. Like, this is being recorded. So they did send someone out, they did turn it on, it was connected, it was being used. So there was heat in the building, and I know because I was paying for it.
okay, thank you very much. And counsel?
Yes, I'll be brief because this all should be obvious. But to be honest, I have zero faith in this process. Ms. Hawthorne's doing what is enabled by this city and bodies like this, and it's immoral. You make an agreement and exploit it. The facts, which is fine. We're not asking for any rent money. We acknowledge that there's legally no rent that should be paid, and we're not even making that argument, despite the fact that contract law would still dictate that you pay something. But in this city, it's just, they make laws to enable the theft of property from landlords, and it's enabled by this body, and it's immoral, and it teaches children and society the wrong thing. So I'm asking you to obviously find that Ms. Hawthorne is lying, doesn't complain about things until she has problems paying, may have found out about the rental license issue and decides to exploit it to a more extent. I guess that she feels that she's owed money, even though she gets a free place to live. So this is an example of an epidemic in this city, and every answer she had wasn't, if she would even answer it, was incredibly self-serving. Very obvious that somebody is lying when they don't even want to answer one question from opposing counsel. People who tell the truth aren't afraid of being exposed, and not that combative and adversarial. And one of her most ridiculous answers that, again, perhaps maybe nobody but this commission would believe. I'm a general contractor. I know all about these heating things, this, that, the other thing. I know so much. But then when asked about me, I don't even know how it works, how it's hooked up to. It's electric. I don't know. It's obviously not. It's obviously gas. She's had heat. Didn't do anything through the cold, cold winter. Allegedly living with no heat. Does nothing. Loves the apartment. Refers somebody else to Miss Gardner. She's lying. It's so obvious. 99% of the population would make that conclusion if they heard what we all heard today. I just ask you to be part of that 99%. And to order no relief except for Mr. Tia. They are trying to get their renter's license, and they absolutely must do that or stop renting. And if she moves out, we will comply with the security deposit laws. Sounds like she's already half moved out, so that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everybody for convening today. As I had said at the beginning, because we don't have a third commissioner, we're not able to issue any sort of oral order at this time. So, like I said, a third commissioner will be watching this recording, and then the three commissioners will come to consensus, and a written order will be sent to you. So at this time, all the parties may leave. Thank you for appearing.
Okay, at this point, we're concluding the hearing. Everyone's excused.